from someone who likes to stare into the dumpster and watch it burn sometimes, I do like frequenting various Reddits. And there is a perception among Blizzard games that Heroes of the Storm is a glorious jailhouse where freedom is supreme. That anybody who starts to rile up, get too creative, get too weird, ends up on the Heroes of the Storm team where they're broken free. And they're able to put out things like Whitemane with their thighs exposed and get sexual and have these crazy skins that no other game would possibly be willing to do.
Are you getting this from the Heroes subreddit? Am I missing some of the most interesting Reddit comments?
No, these are comments that come from Diablo and World of Warcraft. They believe that Heroes of the Storm is a gem of freedom in Blizzard. And if we kind of take that mindset and apply it to the Brack letter, as silly as that may be, what he said to me was, everyone knows Heroes of the Storm has amazing developers, and we are going to share those out. We are going to take those amazing people and move them to the projects you love. So the projects you are playing are going to become better. Because you know Heroes of the Storm has the best developers.
Yeah.
It is definitely, I think, have the best development cycle, in my opinion. I mean, it's subjective, right? But compared, I play WoW, I play Hearthstone, I play Heroes of the Storm. Heroes definitely has the best cycle, and even in the wake of the Brack letter, we've gotten multiple updates since the 2019 update and a new hero. It's been good. It's been well taken care of. There's still a lot to talk about.
There's also, we mentioned that the games have been great, and they have been, but we hear that language all the time with every WoW expansion. Oh, the expansion's the best it's ever been, and then things fall off, people burn out, and people have to backtread those statements if they were enjoying that. Now people are pressuring them not to enjoy it. I'm always cautious to say those things. I do think the experience changes for us at home have been very healthy in the way we play the game. And there are a number of pro players who are sticking with this game, even new up-and-coming pro players through community tournaments who are declaring themselves future pros, who enjoy what might be called a boring kind of soak and lane phase, as opposed to the more dually previous ammo phase that we had 2 years ago. What is true, though, 100% true, is, as a positive, all this gave streamers the ability to say, do you need to break up, bro? If you want out, just go. And it's been really powerful because a lot of trolls come by and go, hey, you're playing a dead game, or oh, your game sucks. And you just go, what? Yeah, clearly the company thinks that too, but we're having a good time, man. Get out of here. Go on. Nobody wants you.
The day it happened, many of my friends who know how much I love this game reached out to me and were like, oh, man, I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. And one of my buddies, who I'd been trying to get to play this game for a long time, goes, hey, maybe I'll finally give it a shot now. Because it's not going to be so intense. It's not going to be so, there's not going to be so much pressure, And I will say that in my experience in the last couple of weeks, playing, unfortunately, in the low silvers, because not because it's because, backstory, people haven't listened before. Backstory is Kyle and I worked really, really hard to get me into gold, and it was extraordinary and so much fun, and I learned a lot. But that was my Hero League ranking. And unfortunately, my Team League ranking, I never cared about. I always just jumped in and did the minimum, did the placements to get the mount, and never cared about it. A few times I would jump in with new, like my friends that I'm talking about now, that were just sort of curious about it, didn't have any experience. We just jump in and we'd get slaughtered, but we'd have a good time and I'd show them around and it didn't matter. Well, now I'm basically only playing Team League and I'm back to being in the low silvers, and it's really very frustrating for me because I know I'm having to redo all that work that Kyle and I did together. But so I'm in this place of playing games with very inexperienced players, which we can talk about if you guys want, because I have a lot to say about that too, or not. If you don't want to hear about it, that's fine too. But one of the things I'm noticing is how fresh all these players are, how few games they've played, how low ranking they are, low level they are, with so few heroes. Many of them in a Team League ranked environment are picking characters, and in the discussion, in the draft, we're having text exchanges of like, oh, which characters do you own? You know, that's the decision process, is which do I own? Because it seems to me that there may be a group of people who are being allowed into this game because they don't feel like it's an esport. They feel like it's just a fun game. And yeah, a lot of hardcore MOBA players, and probably a lot of people that listen to this show that are a little more hardcore than casual, bristled when Heroes was referred to as the casual MOBA. But for a whole group of people, I think maybe there's like a permission to enjoy this game.
It is enjoyable as someone who likes being optimized for a fun level, for discovering something in the game and being curious about it, and then maybe using that as not an exploit, but a way to gain power to win the video game. It's really nice to have those thoughts without somebody in game countering you or in your own stream chat being like, but didn't you know X Pro player said last night that blah, 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 blah. And that is a relaxing fact. In fact, in my own games, I see less pressure on builds already. Now, that means we might be leaving unoptimized play. The game is decreasing in overall skill. Things have become more of a conversation. Maybe you shouldn't have done convection there, but we can't go back. So it's not, didn't you see the build by X video? You messed up, son.
The double edge of that sword is that I've definitely seen a huge dip in just the quality of play, like the skill level of play, especially where I am. And that can be frustrating. I admit I have lost many games just because it was clear players just had no idea some very basic concepts. But ultimately, if there's still enough players to play the game, I'm going to play the game. I love this game. I love this game. And I just have no desire to play League or Dota. So I'm in it until, you know, the last days, the heat death of the universe. But but I, you know, and I hope that the player base sticks around, and I am encouraged that maybe there will be, you know, people involved and having fun that maybe didn't have permission to before.
That's fair. I mean, it's a dangerous time for lower leagues right now, and I am curious about your experience as well, because I'm hearing, and I certainly see it in my own matches. You know, I play team league because the queues are fast.
My perspective is that the biggest thing lacking in the silver tier is any concept of how to draft. It really feels like people perceive, and again, I'm making generalities, so forgive me, but it really feels like people perceive the draft as a glorified quick match selection screen. I mean, I would push back against that and say, like, I don't disagree 100%, but I feel like I see it. There's a divide. Like, there's some folks where it makes total sense. I'm on the same page as them. I understand why they're making the picks that they want. And then there's other folks who are first picking Nova. Like, yeah, yes, I've had many first pick. Or just please just let's have a conversation I'm literally typing. Can we just talk about, we've got first pick. No need to insta ban anybody. Let's just talk about who we would like to, and then that's the hardest thing is literally talking through it, figuring out, having any sort of plan. And then invariably there's some guy who's been not showing anything the entire draft to get that. We've all built something. And then that person just throws in a crazy wild card that's like, okay, if you just mentioned you wanted to play Li Ming, we wouldn't have not drafted a tank. Like, it's fine, but just say it at the beginning so we can figure out what,
I mean, that's just bad manners. I mean, at the end of the day,
right?
Yeah,
but also, I mean, it feels to me like there are 3 or 4 characters that are just insta bans. No one thinks about it. It's just you ban Mal'Ganis, you ban Orphea, you ban Asmodan, and then the potpourri 4th ban.
Hey, is it not Kael'Thas?
It's a lot of Kael'Thas, and rightly so. I think in that league, rightly so. I really like the Sylvanas rework, specifically the idea of taking mind control and making it a skill shot. Do that to Pyroblast. Pyroblast needs to be a skill shot. It would completely fix Kael'Thas in silver.
That is a fascinating statement, because you're probably right. We're all sitting around being like, well, silvers can't get out of living bombs. That's clearly the issue. Maybe it isn't. Maybe living bombs, because they start at level 1, people get used to them. Maybe ignites, throw everyone for a loop, and what was that? But a Pyroblast chasing a silver, that sounds like danger with a right click.
I'm convinced that's why people pick Kael'Thas.
I don't.
So they can delete people with a click. They love it. They love getting that kill. They love just clicking on somebody and then that Pyroblast does all the work for them. And
I want to temper it, but I don't think you're wrong. You're getting some pushback in the chat, but I want to defend you, because you know how I've been climbing? Just taking Cocoon on an Uberak, because just making a 5v5, a 5v4, that's all it takes. It's just a numbers game at that point. And I'm just like, hey, everybody, the tank's gone. Have fun. And what I really want to put out into the universe is that while, yes, I've seen some bad drafts. Oh, God, the last week has just reinforced to me that I think the more important skill to develop is just the personality where you can adapt and you can go with the flow. No matter what happens in that draft, you can adapt to it and you can accept the reality you're about to enter into. I believe that is actually more important than knowing how to draft.
Well, it's certainly more important for my mental well-being.
Yeah, but everyone's experiencing this to some degree. All leagues, you know, in my Diamond League games, I got to contend with Imperius first pick, and that's not exactly a first pick. When Orphea was new, when Mal'Ganis was new, that was an okay ride to go on. But a regeneration bruiser who is a little rough in the solo lane with follow-up pursue capabilities is not usually what you want to declare first and foremost. And that's been happening around me.
Oh, so you're
just because it's the new hotness and everybody's like, got to get the new hotness first.
So your concern is that someone on your team is drafting Imperius, not the opposing team.
Exactly.
I've been audibly cheering when my opposing team drafts Imperius. I multiple games now, I've typed "free kills!" ! Into the team chat when Imperius gets drafted.
I think it's one of those problems. I think you guys have kind of talked about this before, of characters that look like they're tanks but aren't tanks. I think Imperius looks like a tank.
Oh, he totally does. I mean, he's beefy, man. He looks like Arthas died and went to heaven.
Right. So people look at that and go, "Oh, it's like I think Asmodan has some of this, and Butcher has some of this, where it's like less experienced players that don't know the roster in and out, perhaps look at that and go, oh, that's a big, heavily armored guy. He can take a lot of damage." And I think visually it's a little misleading. Again, skewed to a player base that I've been experiencing a lot of that seems to be less experienced.